Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice, the podcast for women who are done waiting for the one and ready to become the parent on their own damn terms. We're talking fertility, pregnancy, emotional chaos, and the village that it takes to raise a kid. Sometimes you're crying in the bathtub. Sometimes you're crying because your toddler bit you. And sometimes you cry because you chose all of this. Welcome to Motherhood, solo style. Let's get into it. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Choosing Chaos. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm your host, Laura. Today on the show, we are talking to Lindsay Moore, a woman whose journey to motherhood has been filled with hope, heartbreak, and unwavering determination. After years of IUI and IVF cycles, she knows firsthand the emotional highs and the lows of fertility treatments. Through it all, she held on to one belief, that she would become a mom. For women in their early 30s, that journey can feel even more daunting. Natural fertility declines sharply with age. At the age of 40, a woman's chance of conceiving naturally each month is just 5%. And by 45, it drops to 1%. This is according to evewow.com. These numbers are sobering, but Lindsay's story proves that hope, persistence, and the right support can make a huge difference in your journey. This episode is about trusting your instincts, speaking up when the path forward isn't quite clear, and embracing change when it's absolutely necessary. Lindsay's journey reminds us that even when doors do not open as we expect, new possibilities and unexpected blessings just might appear. Let's jump in.
Awesome.
Hello, Lindsay. Thank you so much for
Hi.
joining us at Choosing Chaos. How are you today?
Yes, thank you. Good. How are you?
Good. For the listeners who are just meeting you, can you share a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yes. So my name is Lindsay Moore. I live in Maryland. I am 45 years old. I started this journey to becoming a mom, a single mom, when I was 33, actually. Um, and it took quite a while to get me here. But I do have one son. His name is Luke. He's 2.5, and he's the best thing ever.
So you're in that toddler phase too.
Yes, yes, I am
You
in the
get it.
toddler phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is so wild. I mean, just even as a 1-year-old, Weston is wild. So I can't wait for it to continue to progress into more wildness.
Yes, for sure. It's a lot of wildness. And I feel like everything changes just week to week. So that continues to be true. I thought that was only true in the beginning, when he was, a couple months old or a couple weeks old, but I feel like it's still very true today.
So you mentioned that you started your journey at 33, and I know a little bit about what that looked like for you, but why don't you tell the listeners?
Yeah. So I've always known that I wanted to be a mom. And when I was 33, I was like, oh, 33, clock's ticking. I was still single at that point, still looking for Mr. Right. I don't really know where he is.
He's out there somewhere.
But yeah, he's out there somewhere. So, at that point in my life, I had been a nanny for years. I lived with a family for 11 years and did that throughout college, got my master's degree, was working full time. And then, it's hard being single. Things are really expensive. So there was a point in time in my early 30s where I moved in with my mom. She and I are very close best friends. So I moved back in with her to save some money. And while I was there, I'm like, I'm here. I should look into this egg freezing thing. Everyone's talking about it. I think this would be a great time. Why not? This sounds like a
Right.
good idea.
Yeah.
So I went to Shady Grove at that point and went for the regular, they do blood work and the ultrasound and all of that. And I remember when I went in that morning, it wasn't a great feeling. When they
No.
were looking for my follicles, they were having a hard time. I know nothing about anything at this point. I'm like, why are they whispering? Like, what's going on? And they
Yeah.
were just like, oh, just, having some trouble finding things, but, no worries. So when I left there, I just thought that was really odd. that had happened. And then, fast forward to going to the in-person meeting where I just figured, oh, they're going to tell me like I have to pay more money in order to make this happen. But I sat down with the doctor there and she said, you will probably never be a mom. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what are you talking about? My FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, for those that don't know, was 19 at that point. It's supposed to be below 10. My AMH, which is your anti-Müllerian hormone, was below 0.16. And those are both like egg quality and quantity factors. So I was devastated. I left that appointment and hysterical. Like I had to go out the back door because I just thought this is like so bizarre. I came here to freeze my eggs. Like, what do you mean I'm never going to be a mom?
You're
So
not
I repeated
expecting
that
any of that.
process. Yeah, I repeated that process a couple months later just to make sure because I thought, I've been on birth control for a long time. Like maybe it's that. Same thing. This time my mom went with me, but same news. Just really bad numbers. Oh, and low follicle count. That was the other thing. So maybe they found one or two follicles on my right ovary and one or two on the left. So all those
So is
things
that
combined.
considered the diminished ovarian reserve?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yep. Well, and here I am 33. So I'm like, why am I finding this out? Why do I know this information? What am I supposed to do about it? I'm single. Like if I weren't single, I would just get busy,
Right.
doing things and seeing what happened. But so I kind of just thought maybe it's not accurate information. I don't know. Like I just didn't know why I had that information.
The guessing game.
Right. So then fast forward to being 36, almost 37, I was dating someone and got pregnant naturally after on one try.
Wow.
So I
You're
was
like, I
like,
told you
oh,
that it was possible.
I know. I'm like, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
But I called my gynecologist right away and I'm like, remember, my numbers were bad. Should I come in at 8 weeks or what should I do? And she's like, you should probably get your blood tested before that. Let's make sure. I don't know why she instantly thought could be ectopic. She had done her dissertation on ectopic pregnancies, so she was very familiar with them. And that's what it turned out to be. So I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy when I was 36
I'm so
and
sorry.
lost my left tube. So it was just one more thing like, okay, so now I know 3 years ago, the information was bad. Now, fast forward, I've now had a miscarriage and, well, ectopic pregnancy. I had to have the surgery, all the things, awful.
My
So
So what
then,
was your mental state like through all of that? Because you had received
terrible.
terrible news and then you had a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah, it was terrible. It just I was feeling so hopeless. Just wondering like why is all of this happening? And I want to be a mom. And the person that I was with at the time, I'm sure he was relieved that that wasn't happening. He was older, he was done having children. So he and I were not meant to be. But I knew, so at that point I was like, I need to do something about this. So coming up on like almost being 38, almost being 39, almost being 40, I went back to Shady Grove every year in January. I guess it must have been right, like my New Year's resolution, like let's make something happen. So the first time I went back and he was like, okay, I was still thinking I was going to be with that person, that guy. And
Yeah.
then that didn't happen. And then the next time I went back, he's like, okay, I'm like, I'm going to do it by myself. I've made this decision. And then my insurance rejected the IUIs and IVF, like all of that stuff. It was not covered. But then that was getting that letter was a hit. Like, okay. And it said, because you're single, not married, that
Are you
this
serious?
is being rejected. Yes. So this
Oh
was
my
in the
gosh.
beginning of, that was probably in the beginning of 2019 that happened.
Yeah, but single mom by choice has been a thing for a very long time.
I know.
Wow.
So
Oh my
I
gosh,
was
I'm so
devastated.
sorry.
Yeah. So then in the beginning of 2020, that is when I went back and the doctor with Dr. Doyle, he was great. He was like, you've got to make this decision. Like you're almost 40. I would be 40 in May. He's like, you got it. It's now or never. Let's see what happens. So I just remember like going through, I think making that decision because a single mom by choice, I kept thinking, am I really choosing this? I feel like I'm not choosing this. I just can't find the right person. I can't find the right guy. So it was kind of making me angry. Like if I remember going on to the single mom by choice Facebook pages and thinking like, "Ah, I don't belong here. It's getting, just felt like
Out of place. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, that's not, I'm not like this hardcore feminist or anything like that. It's just not me. So I was like, this just isn't what this is about. But I feel like I finally obviously came around getting on the website, like looking for the donor, all of those things. Those were challenges to overcome,
Yeah. I
just
feel
figuring
like
all of that out.
I feel like we do have to normalize it though too, because I think thinking back, a part of me also felt a
Yeah.
little bit like that when I
Yeah.
first joined those groups because I was like, well, I mean, there's still possibility of finding a man. It's just
Right.
I want to be a mom, and
Yeah.
I haven't found the right man right now. So,
Right.
I mean, this is the path forward. To same thing.
Yep.
I'm running out of time, so
I'm
why
running out of
not
time.
prioritize that? But it did feel a little like a male bashing group at
Yeah.
times. And I
Yeah.
know there are other podcasts out there that do similar, that do focus a lot on that, which I don't want this platform to be that. But yeah, I think I felt similarly to you, is like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, it's not my choice, but I know that it is. But yes, I just felt kind of
Yeah.
about it. And
It's
then
almost like
it did.
it's not choice, but I'm trying to think of a better word to use other than
Yeah,
choice.
I know. I know. I don't know what that
Single
would be.
mom because I'm stuck.
Yeah,
Single mom
exactly.
running out of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I realized a lot of other women were in the group in the same situation. When the more I would read, the more I would see. I did realize that. And I think that's when I was like, oh, she's like me. Oh, this one's like me too.
It just took time.
Um, yes, it took some time. So I think that's why all of those years, like going back, like 2018, 2019, and then finally 2020, like I'm going to do this and picking the donor and then starting the process. Um, the funny thing is or I don't know if it's funny, but I started the process in February of 2020, and that was the beginning of COVID, right? March of 2020. So they actually allowed me to continue. And I remember going into Shady Grove in Rockville, which is like the big one around here.
Yeah, their
Um,
main facility
and
is in Rockville. Is that
yes,
what you said, Rockville?
in Rockville,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's a huge facility, and a lot of people come from different places to get their treatment there. Which that is not the center that got me pregnant, though. I will say that.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it
Okay.
is not. I did 12 rounds at Shady Grove, but my final round that worked was at CCRM in Tysons, Virginia. Yeah.
12 rounds. Did you do IUI, IVF, or what did that look like for you?
I did 6 IUIs. And that was because every time when we would do, all of the medicine, they were treating me with all of the big gun medicine as if I was doing IVF, but I just never resulted in enough mature follicles. Every time that we would do it, it would be like one or two follicles. When it was one or two, Dr. Doyle would be like, I don't want to waste your IVF tries, which, by the way, just backing up a second, it ended up getting approved under insurance because something happened during COVID where there was a loophole. I had gone through the process of reading the appeal on my insurance decision, and I had appealed it. And the woman, I can't remember if it was like this state senate office, there was something. I remember her calling me and she's like, this is never going to go through. And I'm like, well, I just thought I would try though. And so I tried, and then she ended up calling me back, and I'm really shortening this, but calling me back and being like, I think I found this loophole because of something with COVID. I don't remember what, but literally it ended up
Wow.
getting approved in 2020.
It's
And
a
I ended
blessing.
up fighting to get a bunch of money back, which was great. And then I believe it was 2021, Maryland, especially Care First, which is the coverage I had at the time, they changed their rules because there was a lawmaker in place that made the insurance. Now I'm just talking about Maryland. Changed their rules that they had to cover single moms, and it wasn't about I didn't need to be married anymore. That changed in 2021. So that was also a blessing. Dr. Doyle didn't want to waste the tries when I had one or two to do IVF. So we would do IUI. We did 6 of those, and that was again simply because I had like one or two follicles.
Yeah.
That went on. I did 5 rounds in 2020, and then I took a break. I started again in 2021. And at that point, I ended up choosing a new donor because the donor that I had been using was out. So I ended up choosing a new donor in a really quick, short amount of time. I remember scrambling because I'm like, oh gosh, everything's timed. Everything has to be perfect. You have to
Yes.
have the delivery of sperm at the certain time and all the things. And I was having to pay, I was using California Cryobank at first, and I was having to pay shipping and all that. But then I started using Fairfax and I didn't have to pay for shipping.
Oh,
So
wait, hold on. That's interesting. Is it close? Fairfax?
it's closer. Yeah. Fairfax is closer.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yes. So
That's
apparently,
good to
like a
know.
courier would take it over, would drive it over.
In their little R2D
Exactly.
container. Yeah.
Here it comes. Here it
Yeah,
comes.
exactly.
Oh, God. Oh, exactly. Anyway, in 2021, I started again, and I think it was, I just remember there was like that was another one of the IUIs. And then that happened a couple times, and none of the IUIs resulted in anything. And then all of a sudden in April of 2021, I had 4 follicles. And I remember Dr. Doyle calling me like, "Oh my gosh, you have 4. This is great. Let's do IVF this time. Let's transfer over." Okay, great. So I did it, and I ended up with four eggs, and I think 3 of them fertilized maybe, and it resulted in 2 embryos that were graded AAA, so that they look good. But he did not really believe in testing, and just with so few, he was like, "I don't want to test them. Let's just get them back up there." I transferred 2 of them in April of 2021, and then that resulted in a biochemical pregnancy. I watched the line and I tested and I watched the line get dark, 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 dark. And then it got light, light, light. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh man, that was devastating. And after that, at some point, I started another round immediately following and nothing was happening. A couple of the rounds, six IUIs, 3 canceled. 3 were canceled because sometimes the follicles would just produce on the left side. I don't have a tube, then I would go through all that. And then they'd be like, we have to cancel. If there's only 1 or 2 over there, I'm not going to even try IUI because also don't want to waste sperm money. That's money,
gosh, I
lots of
know.
money.
Yes.
In September of 2021, I actually that must have been my 12th round, and I had 5 follicles, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible for me. Like, this is great. Went in, had them retrieved. That resulted in 0, 5 retrieved and 0 being fertilized. Well, that was devastating. Oh, I forgot. Wait, there was one time. There were 3 total times. The round where they retrieved 5 and got and 0 fertilized, the round where they retrieved 4 and I got 2 embryos that we did the transfer. But there was also a round where I had 4 and we went in to do retrieval and I had ovulated. That was
Oh,
that was the very first time that I actually had 4. That was
it was too
devastating
late.
because I'm like, this is my first time I had 4 and I ovulated, and it was really shitty because the doctor who delivered the news to me was the same doctor who told me when I was 33 that I would never have children. She happened to be the one that did the retrieval that day, not
Of
my
course.
regular doctor. I was like, what the?
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought with IVF that they delayed your ovulation up until the point where they were ready to do the retrieval. Was that timing
They
off somehow?
they did. It was an hour off. An
Oh
hour.
my gosh, an hour.
They could still see the fluid in the sacs, which means it was they was like an hour. Then from there on, so that was, like I said, that was actually the first time that I had 4. The next time that I had 4, they pushed everything back by an hour. I mean, that's how crazy this timing is, right? Like the trigger shot
Yes.
having to be at whatever midnight or 11 p.m., whatever it was, and then
Hmm.
coming in and they're like, we're going to move this up an hour early. Plus, they started giving me. I was taking something that also kind of like lessen the ovulation. I can't remember what that was called.
Is it the shot?
There was some sort of shot that also kind of like put a damper on the ovulation happening. After that 12th round at Shady Grove and the 5 that were retrieved with 0 fertilized, I was devastated. I mean, I
I
was
can imagine.
tired, I was puffy, I was bloated. I always said I felt like the medicine dimmed my light. Like it was horrible.
Because it throws your hormones out of whack, really.
Totally. This made me feel puffy and emotional, sometimes extra emotional, but then other times just dull. Like sometimes I had no emotion. I look back at pictures of me at that time. My face looks so puffy. Like this started in February of 2020. I'm getting to when it ended. I had Luke in 2023. But when I was talking to a friend and she also had used CCRM, Dr. Owen, and CCRM is very much like a boutique firm. And she was just like, listen, like I told her what happened. And she's like, what's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over. She's like, I'm telling you, you need to see Dr. Owen. She's going to get you pregnant. And I'm like, yeah, 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 whatever. I'm like, okay. And she's like, you got to try something else. And I'm like, you're right. I do feel like I need to try one more thing, one more time. My next after that was going to be donor embryo. But I felt like I needed one more try. And so, I went and had some blood work done. I remember Dr. Owen saying, I don't know that we're going to get you there, but we can certainly try. She said something like, you're walking down a hallway, there's all these doors that you've opened, you're trying to get to the light. She's like, I'm going to get you to the light. Might not be the way you want it, but I'm
Yeah.
going to get you there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. I remember going in for this round in January of 2022, and I started the round and I was kind of like, like, yeah, I don't know. I just felt so like I had to be even. I wasn't, because the roller coaster between the ups and the downs of
So
like,
much.
yeah, the follicles, oh, bad news, oh, good news, bad news, like terrible. So I just went in, I was like calm. And the one thing they changed with this round that I had never had before at Shady Grove was they added HGH. Um, Apparently, Dr. Owen said she has heard that that helps with like egg. Um, I don't know if it's like helping with the quality or stabilization. I can't
For
remember
the
exactly,
maturity.
but
Yeah.
somebody, yeah, like there's some research about helping with people like me. So I'm like, okay, sure, let's try this HGH. We do the HBH and HGH, and we also do all the same meds I had done before, but just really low and slow. I had the longest cycle I've ever had. Whereas
Oh,
other times I was triggering within 10 days of starting the meds. I went on, I started the meds, got my period, that's always the big day you call, like you have I have your period, I got to come in. January 15th, and I did not have the retrieval until February 4th. It was a it was a very long, low and slow cycle. And during that time, I remember thinking, this isn't working, like nothing was happening, it was so slow. And so they were seeing a couple, and I'm like, the day that I went in, one of the days, I remember it was on a weekend and I was on the phone with my friend. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. They're going to cancel this round. They are going to cancel nothing's happening. I remember that Dr. Payne, that I saw that weekend, he said, yeah, you have three. They measured them, and I'm like, okay. I said, well, what's your philosophy? Would you all do like IVF for like one or two? Like, because I didn't know if the third one would go away. And he's like, oh yeah. I said, oh, my other doctor didn't really do that. And
yeah.
he's like, no, our philosophy is more. He said that was more of an old school way of thinking. He's like, our philosophy is if you have one, we're gonna do it. Like, but I could see both sides, right? Because the other way, you're also the insurance thing, whatever. So I ended up having three. I had three follicles at retrieval. They retrieved three follicles. They retrieved three eggs, and all three of them fertilized.
Good.
And then I remember they called me like a week later, and they said one had made it. I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
they said one had made it, and then they were gonna do the testing. So, and I had never done the testing piece before either because that just he didn't want to risk it.
Right. Especially
So
the
I
timing of it, because it's like
yes,
it's like a month or something.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
I waited 3 weeks to get the call about the testing, and Dr. Owen called me. It was 5 o'clock. I still remember it was March 1st. I'm kind of weird with dates. I remember a lot of like dates and times.
I love that though,
Um,
because I'm a date
yeah.
person too.
Yes. So I actually was sitting in my hair salon. I had my head in the shampoo bowl and they were washing my hair. And I'm like, I saw the number and I'm like, I have to take this call.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there and I literally ran out. I was like crying. And Dr.
Hair
Owen was
dripping.
like, Yes. And they're like, they told my hair person, this girl, she was like, I don't know, she just left here. She has bleach on her head. She's leaving or whatever. I don't, yeah. Dr. Owen called and she was like, she's like, I have good news for you. I'm like, and she's like, it's normal. And I'm like, do you know the sex? And she's like, yeah, do you want me to tell you? I'm like, no, 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 no. I was so freaked out by the whole thing. I'm like, no, no, no.
Yeah. You
So
just
then at
wanted
that point,
like that part, like, getting to that point was such a blessing that you didn't care.
yes,
Yeah.
such a blessing. And I'm like, I have one. When they say it takes one, like
Yeah.
they mean it takes one.
Yeah.
So I had one. And so anyway, um, at that point, then she said, what we're going to do now is we're going to do the test cycle. I really can't remember what it's called, but I went through. So the month before I actually did it for real, that did the transfer, I went through a cycle where they wanted to test the implantation, like the medication, to make sure my implantation was at a good point. Like the medication was actually helping implantation. They did that so that they could see, because she's like, we have one egg. It's the golden embryo.
Yes.
We have to be careful. Let's go through this process and do it. I wish I could think of what it's called, but I cannot. I went through the process and it was basically almost like a trial run. So
Yeah.
you just, same thing, you do all the prep, you take all the meds, you do everything as if you were about to go to transfer. But instead of going to transfer, they actually go in and scrape to figure out if that progesterone that you've been taking is like the correct amount for proper implantation. I
So
don't want to say it's
I
called
love
like,
that it was more personal this time. Like
yes.
it was very
Oh,
personalized for you. And the boutique shops, I feel like, are where it's at right now.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, totally. Yes, exactly. And that was in April. We did this, whatever this test run was, can't remember what it's called. And then, yeah, and then I went in June of 2022 and we did the transfer. It was really cool too because very different from Shady Grove. They brought and again, I never found out what he was. I found out when he was born, but they brought him down in an incubator. Literally, they brought the incubator down, they wheeled it in, and it was like, well, like it's just like the
The
skies
golden
parted.
baby. Yeah.
It was so cool. And I'm like, oh, and then the embryologist came in and she had been there for 30 years and she explained everything about what was happening. She had like it was like a projector kind of thing that was up where she could see the embryo on the screen, but he was in the incubator. And then she was explaining to me like how the thaw went, because all those things, I mean, some of them don't survive the thaw. Like you just never know, like if it's going to work.
Right. There's so much science
So,
behind it that we just don't
yes.
get. Hmm.
Yep. So then the thaw, all that, and then the transfer came. It was less than a week later. I went in for blood work and they're like, you're pregnant. And I couldn't believe it, but I also was so scared. I was scared a lot, the whole time, a lot. But I made them do several different blood tests before I got to have the sonogram because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't having another ectopic. Even though she's like, I highly doubt that would happen because we placed it right in there. It could happen still, but she did. She was like, of course, we'll do more blood work. I went for blood work 3 times and then I had a sonogram at 6.5 weeks. And
They
that was
really
awesome
reassured
too.
you the whole time.
Yes. The whole time. The whole time.
And that has
I
to
even
feel
I
so
even
good.
called there after because I had a bad experience when I got to when I graduated and I got to my gynecologist.
At 10.5 weeks? Is that what
Yes.
you're yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about that.
The same tech that I saw when I had an ectopic pregnancy, and she was just not very nice. She also had an ectopic pregnancy. You would think she'd be a little more sensitive, but she was not. So during my ectopic pregnancy, she was just horrible, and I just had PTSD, right? Like I went in there, and she's like, "There's nothing in there, it's something's over here." That was horrible. Fast forward, I'm going in there thinking everything's great. Like I've seen baby now 6.5, 7.5, 8.5. Now I had seen baby 4 times prior to getting transferred to my regular GYN. And she was taking all these pictures and my sister was with me and I felt really good. And then I go into the doctor's office and he comes in and he's like, oh, nice to meet you. And I'm like, oh, you're actually the one who did my ectopic removal. And he's like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, I'm in here under different circumstances though this time. And he's like, well, that's what I want to talk to you about. And I'm like, I'm sitting there in my gown, my sister's there, and it was just like all the air came, and he's like, well, Amy saw something and she thinks that the nuchal fold, and he starts talking. I'm like, nuchal fold? What the hell? I don't even know what you're talking about. And
Yeah,
he's
I don't know what
saying,
that is.
and he's giving me worst case scenario, and he's writing it all down. I'm just sitting there like, what are you talking about? I don't know how could this
Yeah.
be?
Also,
So
at 10 and a half weeks, how can they see that? Because they don't usually measure that until you're 20 weeks.
Well, they actually do a nuchal fold test usually between 11 and a half and 13 and a half weeks.
Okay.
But they do it at MFM usually with specialized equipment, not a normal scan at a regular GYN.
Ultrasound.
So the fact that she said that and saw that was horrible.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have another friend who's also same age, high school, ran into her outside of CCRM actually, just had her baby 2 months ago, but she also was at the same practice and had horrible news at 11 and a half weeks and the same tech. We made this connection. It was like, we were like, that woman needs to be
I was just going to say that. She needs to be fired.
terrible.
Wow.
Same tech. I'm like, how is this even happening? That she's just terrible at delivering news and just terrible at, she's saying too much that the doctor should be saying these things, not her.
Right. That's
And
not
she
her
doesn't
job.
know.
Yeah.
So I had to, and it was like, she knew nothing about IVF. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, my embryo's been tested. Like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, whatever she didn't know the term for it. PGA, PGT, PG, like she didn't know. She's like, whatever. That doesn't really necessarily mean anything. And so, of course, then for 2 weeks, I have to deal with thinking about this because I ended up having then the NIPT. Is that what it's called? NIP? That
Yeah.
NIPT? Yeah.
NIPT. Yeah. There's another form of it too, but NIPT is usually the more common
Yes.
one.
So
Yeah.
they wanted me to do that just to make sure. And then I went into MFM to have the actual nuchal fold test done when I was 13 and a half weeks. And they're like, yeah, we don't see it. Everything's totally normal. So I switched doctors at that point 'cause I
Yes.
was like, I'm
Same.
done with this. But I was able to call Dr. Owen and her team. Dr. Martini is her name. Dr. Owen was away at the time, but Dr. Martini talked me off the ledge. She was like, reassuring, just, letting me know, of course, anything could have been possible, but just kind of like talking to me about how it probably wasn't possible because I did have the testing done ahead of time. And so I don't know, she made me feel so much better. And then when Dr. Owen got back from, I think she had been away, she called me and talked to me. I remember one night for 45 minutes on the phone, just saying, like, whatever you find out, and if you find out everything's normal, like, I do think you should report that tech and, all the things. They're awesome. CCRM is just awesome.
I love to hear that, but I hope you
Yes.
did report her.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember. I did talk to the my regular doctor who, because the man doctor that came in to see me that day, he wasn't my actual doctor. I did call her and did express my concerns. But I never did like write the letter or anything. I probably should have, but
Yeah.
I
They
know.
don't learn until they get
I
reported
know.
sometimes. Yeah.
I
It's
know.
unfortunate.
So true.
So,
Yeah.
what was the most joyful part or surprising part about your pregnancy?
My pregnancy was amazing. And I was never sick. Luke was 9 pounds, 14 ounces, and I gained 10 pounds. I was
Wow.
really blessed in that. I felt great. I felt like I was glowing. When they say you glow, sometimes you're like, I don't know, I don't see it, but I really felt that way. It was just the best pregnancy. I would be pregnant 10 times again. Like it was amazing. It was
It all paid off.
beautiful. All the rest, I did all of my scans from there out. Even though I transferred doctors, I never did any scans in the doctor's office because I'm like, if they see something, they're going to send me to MFM anyway. So I did all my scans at MFM. Those were all good. It's just every couple weeks that I went, what is it, 4 weeks in the beginning and then 2 weeks.
Then
It was just
weekly.
great. All the
Yeah.
visits were so good. It was just such a beautiful time. I would go back in a heartbeat. I love that time. Loved it.
Tell me about your son now, though. So he just turned 2 not too long ago.
He is 2.5. He's beautiful. He's amazing. He's so happy. independent. He plays by himself, but also like loves his older cousins. He is at home. I work obviously full time. I work from home, which is very nice, but I have family and friends that watch him every day. I just heard them. They just came back from the park. I just heard them come in downstairs.
Nice
It's
little
nice.
village you have, though,
Yes, I do have a village. I have an amazing village.
which
Amazing.
is so important because
Yes.
of this choice. We're gonna use the word
Yes.
choice, but it's very
Yes. It's
important
a
to have a
choice.
village. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
What, has been the biggest joy of this entire stage of your life? I mean, that you've had the ups and the downs, but what has been the most joyous part about all this?
Yeah. I think just finally being a mom,
Mm,
just like sometimes I still look at him and I'm like, I can't believe he calls me mommy. Like hearing him call me mommy and I love you, mommy.
oh,
Like just that I'm like shaping this human and he's mine and looking at him and he looks like me and I think he looks like the donor too. I only have one picture of the donor, but very, very similar. He's really active. He's fun. He definitely has his own strong-willed personality. He is headstrong. It's just wild how that just develops.
it is so crazy how it just
Yeah.
develops out of nowhere.
Yes. Yep. And I love doing all the fun things, like going to the pumpkin farm and going to pet the animals
Mm,
and those things. I can't wait to get him involved in more things.
like sports.
Yeah, all those things. I have a unique situation where I said my mom and I are very close, and so right after he was born, we ended up buying a house, and she was living with us, but she's fallen a couple times since then. So I've had this extra responsibility of where, she was helping me and she was making our meals and doing laundry and all of those things. Her health has really declined. She's
Sorry.
actually going to be probably moving into assisted living on Friday. She's been in and out of this house for the past year after these falls, and just really gone downhill. So that's been really, really hard. But I'm bringing this up because I'm sure there are other women in similar situations where your mom is your everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
Uh,
And just it's a unique part as a single mom. It's a unique thing that I was hoping that we would have more time and she's such a big part of his life. So it's really a shift but things change and he is my primary, focus and responsibilities while she is as well. It's hard because I went from having help from her to then taking care of her and all of the caretakers that have been in and out of this house and different PT and OT and nurses. And she's just been very sick and having all those people cycle through this house and managing her schedule on top
yeah.
of working and
And postpartum.
feeding her and all, and doing her laundry where again before she would do everything, and so that's been very, very a challenging part of this, but it's just a different, and I'm sad that I don't think she's not coming back here. Really changes things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really changes things, but I'm blessed that I'm lucky that I had the time, especially after I delivered. She was the one doing all of those things for many, many months. So I did have that for a period of time. That was a blessing.
Is there anything you want to say to your mom?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
I,
sweet.
yeah. Thank you. She's the reason I'm the mom that I am, and just that she's been the best mom, the best example. And Luke just adores her. It's crazy that bond that they share. He knows, my mom, just loves his mom. It's funny too because all of the other grandkids, he's the youngest grandkid. I have an older sister and brother, and their children are much older. Um, and they have always called her grandmom, but I used to call her mom, I used to call my grandmother mom, and Luke started calling her mom right away. I'm like,
I've
that's like
heard
a
it.
symbol to me, and
Yep.
I'm like, yep, that's my mom, but all the rest of the grandkids call her grandma. Um, but it's amazing to see that bond and but a lot of our time I haven't had the time, like I haven't done all the gymnastics and the swim lessons and all these things that I've wanted to do because I've been caring for her and had so many different people, in and out of this house taking care of her. That's, a lot of times like our weekends were us visiting her in rehab or a hospital. Luke is very familiar with ambulances and hospitals and rehabs, and all of the older people in those facilities love him, and he loves to go into those places. I'm sure the next place where she's going is very nice, and I think that they'll all love him there too. But I am looking forward to, I keep trying to be positive because it's hard. I just said to my sister this morning, she's not coming back here. And I didn't buy this house to be without her, like we did this and we were helping one another. And now it's just really sad. But I keep trying to tell myself, like, this will be good, that, you know, we can focus on him.
It just looks a little differently now,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
path forward and her path forward as well. It does open up more opportunity and different ways of her spending time with your son too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean she's going away. It just means that it might look a little different. And
Right.
I think he'll understand that too because he's seen it all. But I think to your point too, it opens up many doors for you two to bond in different ways, doing other things that maybe he hasn't been able to do because your time has been spent taking care of
Right. Exactly.
him.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm, that's,
This is the first time I cried. You're so compassionate about it, and, like,
oh,
I get what you mean
thank
because
you.
my mom has been my rock too, and I've told her that, and now I'm gonna cry
Yeah.
again. But,
Yep.
I mean, there have been scares with her too where I'm just like and I said this to her one day before I went back to work, "In 5 years, I don't know if you're gonna be around for my son."
Right.
And that
Exactly.
scares me because
Yeah.
you're not taking as good of care of your health that you could be.
Right. I thought we had like 10 years when we moved into this house. I was thinking like, okay, like 10 years and I'll be in an, who knows, maybe I'll be with someone at that point or,
Yeah.
all the things. And now I'm like, I might have to move. Like, I don't know if I can stay here. It's a big house. It's a lot for me to take care of.
Yeah.
Can you
When
hear Luke?
you Yeah, I hear him. He's having fun in the
Having fun.
background.
Sorry.
What would you, looking back, what would you have told your 33-year-old self about
Oh my
having,
gosh.
when somebody had told you that you never be able to have a baby? So what
I
would you
mean,
say to her?
again, don't give up, and you just don't know. And it, there's different ways to make this happen. So even if, like I said, my next step was going to be embryo donation or embryo adoption, I had to think about that. And that's not for everybody. I mean, certainly not. Some, adoption, all those things. I really wanted to carry. I looked into adoption, but I just felt like I wanted a baby, and the babies, like if you did international, it was more like you were waiting until maybe like 9 months or so. That I talked to an agency, and this is what the woman shared with me. Or if you do domestic, then you have to deal with all the different state laws. I think it's Maryland has like a 29-day, that period of time where the biological mom can change her mind. I'm not prepared for that. I've been through I can't do that. I think Florida was like 2 days or something. It wasn't as long as Maryland, but so I kind of just dipped my toe in that and learned about that. I don't want to do that. I would tell my 33-year-old self, keep going, keep researching, keep talking to people. There's different avenues. Be open. You never know. You just don't know. And now it all makes sense because I feel like he is just the best. And if I could do it again too, I would, but I would love to give him a sibling, but I know I just can't at this point.
It's hard.
Financially and just with everything going on with my mom and all of those things, I think that I just had that one embryo for a reason.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was your sign. It was the best timing. Sometimes as they say, timing
Yes.
is everything. And I think that
Yes.
that worked out
Yep.
despite having gone through everything that you had gone through leading up to that. But I think that it was meant to be for a reason
Yeah.
at that point in your
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you hope your son sees and learns from your story as he grows up?
Um, Determination, perseverance, that our family is so big and our friends are part of our family and that he has a huge village and that he's so loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to tell him if he should ever hear this?
Oh, just how meant to be. He is totally meant to be. He is a miracle.
Your miracle egg, as you said.
He is my miracle egg.
Hmm.
My baby shower was like almost like a wedding reception. I do have really amazing friends. And everyone commented it was truly like a wedding reception. I had a signature drink and, like it was the whole thing.
Yeah. But it
I
was
didn't.
well deserved.
It was. And my niece is a baker. She owns a bakery in Gettysburg called Sweeter Than Sap. She's very talented. She does wedding cakes and baby shower cakes and all the things. But she had a
Listeners, go to what's
yes,
the name of it again?
amazing. Sweeter Than Sap
Sweeter
in
Than Sap,
Gettysburg.
and get some
Yeah.
cakes and cookies and all the things.
And on my cake is a picture of my cake is hanging in her store. It's 4 tiers, and the bottom layer she said each tier represented a trimester. So the bottom tier was like me finding out, and so she wrote the word miracle like no less than 300 times all around the bottom. Like it's beautiful. I'll have to send it to you so you
I
can
was
see
gonna say, I
it.
want to see a picture of
Oh,
this.
yes. So that's he's a miracle.
He
He really is, and he's so loved by so many people. He's so special and unique. I just feel like his energy it's so good. Like and his empathy too. People comment, like come up to me and they'll like if I'm in a store with him. Recently I was in a store with him and this woman was like, he's so empathetic. And I'm like, how I don't know how she's picking up on this. I don't know if it was like a conversation we were having or whatnot, but he's so good. And again, headstrong and definitely a toddler, but he's really
It's
good.
a face.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
For women who are listening, who are considering becoming a single mom by choice, what advice would you give to them to encourage them to do this?
Yes. I feel like it's some of the same advice. I would say again, like keep going, but and talking to people and reaching out and finding different ways to network with people and different women. I feel like so many women on the Facebook single mom groups that I joined, whether it was like because I was part of some of the older ones, like older single mom by choice or Baltimore, DC single mom by choice, whatever. I got so much out of those groups during the time too, especially with all of the fertility stuff. If I would post things or ask questions, and not everybody that's a single mom by choice has fertility issues, but I did find it was very beneficial talking to women and meeting up with them, just to not be afraid and to keep going. And was I ready at 36 to do this on my own? No, I personally wasn't. But then I got okay with the idea and accepting of it by 40. So it did take me some time. And it was the best thing that I've ever done. I mean, he's my world, really.
Yes, he is. It sounds like it. And I think, too, an important part of your story is sometimes when you feel that things might not be working at your clinic, it's okay to switch. If you
Yes.
feel like you're not being treated
Yeah,
fairly or with the best care, it's okay to
absolutely.
switch. It's okay to
It
say something.
Absolutely. And I really liked the doctor that I was seeing at Shady Grove. Like, I mean, I loved him and his wife. She was one of the doctors as well. Like
Yeah.
they were great. I actually reached out to them after I left a message in their portal to let them and my nurse know because they saw me for so long. I'm sure they would love to hear a success story, even if it wasn't their success. But I feel like having that friend who was like, we got to get you over here. You got to try something different. You can't keep doing the same thing. And I was tired and exhausted at that point, but I appreciated Katie. I appreciate her so much. It's funny too, right? Different people for different reasons and different seasons and all the things. And she was a woman that I met through work years ago. And we stayed in touch and stayed friends. Those people, have a big impact in a way that you just don't even know. I don't talk to her every day, but we still talk. We're on IG. We talk. Like, you're the reason I went to CCRM. You're the reason I know Dr. Owen and
Mhm.
her whole team. And it was an amazing experience. The same person, his name was Mark, he would draw my blood every time that I went there. Like, he's the only one that draws blood. I was not used to that. I was so, used to, you just go in and one of those 10 people back there is going to draw your blood and
Right.
bruise your arms up and do all the things. No, it was like Mark every single time. Amazing. He was so nice. And he would say, Miss Lindsay, I just know 13 is my lucky number. Cause I said, Mark, this is my 13th time. Like, I'm tired of doing this.
Yes.
He's like, it's my lucky number. I'll tell you one day. And I did. I brought Luke in when he was 4 or 5 months old to see them and took pictures with them. And, it was awesome.
I bet that meant so much to them too, because of
Yeah.
everything you had
Yes.
gone through, and like they
Yes.
were there to help you to become
Yes.
successful and give you this little miracle baby.
Yeah. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. For
13 was
sure.
your number. I hope you
13
play
was my
that for the
number.
lottery too.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I need to. I need to
Yeah,
go do that.
I know, right? Well, it's not
Yep.
1.8 billion anymore, but
I know. I
even a
know.
million would be great.
Damn it. It would be. It would be so good.
Yeah. Lindsay, I loved hearing your story. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Laura.
I am
Thank
so
you so
appreciative of this
much.
conversation. And honestly, like,
Yes.
I'm so happy for you that it all worked out despite having gone through what you went through for all of
Yes.
those years. It's just, it was meant
Thank
to
you.
be. Mm.
Thank you. It was totally meant to be.
And he
Thank you,
sounds like
Laura.
the most amazing little blessing.
He is. He absolutely is. He's
And
awesome.
will you go enjoy? Because it sounds like he's having fun in the background.
Yes. I know. I know. I will. I'll go say hi to him. Then I'll have to get back to work, of course.
Keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I am so appreciative of this. You have a
Yes.
wonderful day, Lindsay.
You too. Thank
Bye.
you.
Lindsay's journey reminds us that the path to parenthood doesn't always follow the plan that we had imagined. Sometimes when doors don't open, that's okay, and even necessary to change direction, whether that means trying a different clinic, method, or timing. Her story also highlights the power of listening to your inner voice, speaking up for what you need, and leaning on the people around you, that village that we all talk about, for support, even when those closest to you are navigating their own life changes. Life takes us in unexpected ways, and change can look different than we had anticipated. But as Lindsay shows, hope, determination, and flexibility can open doors that we had never knew existed. We hope her story leaves you with encouragement, insight, and the confidence to keep moving forward in your own journey, no matter what that looks like. Be sure to subscribe to Choosing Chaos so you never miss stories of courage, choice, and the beautiful mess of motherhood. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, and more. Come join the conversation, share your story, and help us to build this community. And if today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to follow, rate, and leave comments. We want to hear from you. Until next week, thank you so much. Keep choosing chaos.